and it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident. But I think I'm worth the trouble, frankly. I love the fray. I'm not disrespectful of people's views. I respect any positive things that people want to say, or even negative, as long as it's constructive. But when it's blatantly self-serving and beyond the normal competition that the press so enjoys focusing on, instead of, wouldn't it be better if all the press were focusing on opportunity? I love it. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. What you just heard was Nancy Pelosi and the smear campaign. It was a smear tactic, wrap-up smear tactic. So we'll get more into that. But Micah 6:8, he has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. So is justice being served, or are we witnessing a calculated agenda to reshape America? Tonight on Faith and Freedom Fridays, we're tackling the controversies surrounding Hunter Biden's pardon and the attacks on Pete Hegseth, who is President Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense. Are these stories about accountability and character, or something else, something much deeper? Stay tuned as we uncover the truth and ask the tough questions every patriot needs to consider.
Welcome to Faith and Freedom Fridays, where we explore the godly way to vote with faith and integrity. Here are your hosts, LaTanya Evans and Cathy Ryan.
Hey there.
Hello there.
Sorry for the late start. We've had technical difficulties.
Yes.
To see the least.
Oh my goodness, yes. And I just wanted to share, yes, I have these glasses on. I hurt my eye. I injured my eye Monday, and which ended up me having to, go to the hospital, ER. And so thank goodness things are better, but my eye just looks horrible. So this is kind of like a shield that kind of help it. So yes, but okay, enough about me. Hi, Cathy.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Shireen.
Hi, Shireen. Hi, Barbara.
Thank you for joining us. So tonight, we got a lot to go over because a lot has happened. And one of the things we're going to start with, you saw in the opening clip, Nancy Pelosi, when she was Speaker of the House in 2017, explaining how they attack their enemies, basically, is what it is. And the Republicans do it too. It's a political stunt where they will come up with some allegation and they'll throw it out there to the media and let the media run with it, whether it's true or not, to damage somebody's reputation. They did it to Matt Gaetz, who was President Trump's nominee for Attorney General about 3 years ago, because Matt Gaetz, let's put it this way, he's no BS. He is true MAGA, make America great, America first, down to the core. And that man does not pull any punches. He says he says the truth, whether people like it or not. And he will, if you ever watch anything on C-SPAN of him in any of these hearings, he pulls no punches. He's a great attorney. He pulls no punches, and he gets down to the absolute truth, whether or not they want to hear it or not. Well, the Democrats didn't like that. So 3 years ago, we lost you again, LaTanya. We lost your camera. 3 years ago, they threw out an allegation that he had sex with a minor and trafficked girls, young girls. The congressional, it got so bad that the Congressional Ethics Committee had to do an investigation on this, and it's still going on. They have found nothing. And you're going to hear this throughout tonight. Anonymous sources have said. Well, if this is truth, why don't you come out and say it instead of hiding behind anonymous sources? Well, they're doing the same thing to Pete Hegseth right now. Almost 10 years ago, he was accused of rape.
Ooh. Wow. A minor?
No, just some woman came out and said that he had raped her.
Oh, wow.
It was dealt with, and it didn't actually happen. You know, she was probably an angry ex-girlfriend or something.
Oh, wow.
Something weird, but it was dealt with. So this is, almost 10 years ago. So, and back then, yes, he was not a great guy. He was divorced twice. He had an affair. He didn't, he has a past. But he has since come to Jesus, and his life has changed. That doesn't disqualify you. And it doesn't disqualify you from doing a job.
Right.
Because of your past. Who you were 10 years ago, before you knew Christ, isn't who you are today. Otherwise, what's the point of being forgiven by God?
This is my thought really quick, especially if a person decides they want to run for office, they just need to put it out there. Just go ahead and just even, put your stuff out there so that you don't have this type of dark cloud chasing you or whatever the case may be. Because if you run for public office, somebody is going to dig up. So if you just put it out there, I think that was something a YouTuber content creator, Mr. Brown, I remember him mentioning how that he has put, just certain, put it out there. So if anyone try to come and they say this or say that, and you did this and it was that, it's out there. Now, granted, I'm not saying every single, but things that people can pull up and get, records on, just put it out there. Right. I don't know why these public figures, they don't do that, because they know people want to dig.
Well, here's and I got a clip on his response to all of this. And it's really good. It's a long one, and there's some commentary in there after that with Carl Higbie, and that was on today. I mean, it was perfect. I was looking for content, and I always watch Carl Higbie with Ted, for content, for our shows. Right. And this segment came up, and I'm like, it was really good. So let me put it up and play it. And it kind of answers what you've been saying about why isn't it out there? And this is what Pete has to say. And mind you, he's been in the public eye. He's worked for Fox. He was a Fox host on Fox and Friends for, I don't know, almost 7 years, something like that.
Wow.
So he's been in the public eye. But because he's a threat, and here's the thing, and this is what we have to remember. President-elect Trump's cabinet members, the left isn't going to like, because they're a threat and they will expose them. And they're going to get dealt with. So just watch.
Okay.
5166.
Not that.
I'm proud of what I fought for. I'm not going to back down from them one bit. I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group. None of you, not to that camera at all. I answer to President Trump, who received 76 million votes on behalf and a mandate for change. I answer to the 100 senators who are part of this process and those in the committee. And I answer to my Lord and Savior and my wife and my family. I'm proud to be here. And as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be.
Remember when I told you why Trump nominates TV people for some of these positions? Because they are fighting battles with TV people. And the legacy media, when they come across someone.
Now, keep in mind, the media isn't going to approve his nomination. Only those 100 senators. That's the battle there. It's not in the media. It's with those senators. Right. So what he said there was right. So we'll go on.
Someone like Pete Hegseth have no idea how to fight back. Another TV and radio guy, Joe Pags himself. All right, Joe, I am so glad that Pete has dug in his heels and it says, you want to throw knuckles? Let's go.
I love it. I got to tell you, when I saw him do that, what you just showed, it showed me exactly what you just said. You need somebody who is media savvy. You need somebody who can turn it on the people that are there. The people that are there, unlike you and me and how we do it, the people that are there think that Pete Hegseth owes them something. Right. He owes them nothing. The fact that he stopped and spoke with them, they should have said thank you as he walked away. They think they're going to get that moment that's going to make their career. They're not going to with this guy. I think Acosta learned that with Donald Trump. People learn that when they put a microphone in your face. And when they try it with me, it doesn't get anywhere either. Hegseth is the perfect guy to say, I'm not answerable to you. Trump says he supports me. That's all I need.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, this has been fraught with like massive slurs and massive allegations and everything they can to throw mud at this guy. All right. But Pete, he's been on the offense here. He tweeted out something. He said another on the record. I mean, this is from another on the record source lying. Press never tried to reach out to. He then quotes writer Mark Lucas saying, served as the executive director of Concerned Veterans, succeeding Pete Hegseth, who brought this group to national prominence. The media have falsely portrayed CV4A as a dysfunctional organization under Hegseth's leadership, but the executive team and strategy I inherited from him were world-class. Joe, they'll report the bad, but not the good. This is one of those things like, they never interview any of the people that sit next to him on the couch, that worked with him. They always interview anonymous people.
You expose this every single night. I try to do my best as well. In fact, I did a video yesterday on X where I talked about journalism. You and I know how to do the job. We know how to do the job very well. And there were stories that Hegseth was going to be replaced by Ron DeSantis. No. As I read the stories and you read the stories, they all cite anonymous sources who said it under the condition of anonymity. They're all just rumor mill idiots that aren't going to get over the American people this time. We're awake now, Carl. We're awake because your show does so well. We're awake because people follow us on social media. The new media is killing the legacy media. They can't lie their way out of this. And you're right. There are multiple people, even dozens, that are saying Pete Hegseth didn't do any of these things. In fact, here's what he did for us. And they're not reporting it, but we are. They're going to lose this one.
Yeah, 100%. Joni Ernst, okay? This woman's driving me nuts.
What's up with this lady?
Yeah, exactly. So this woman, by the way, glass houses. You want to throw stones? Let's throw stones. Now, she is denying these allegations leveled by her ex-husband that she had an affair with a subordinate while she served in the military. Her husband's coming out named on the record, okay? There's other people who are making the same allegations. She's saying they're not true. But hey, by her standard, she's up against Pete Hegseth on this. By her standard, if it's an allegation, it must be true. Therefore, you should get scrutiny. Lady, you are elected and you have a lot of people and a lot of money ready to primary you.
You said it, glass houses. I would even take the glass house to this level. She voted for Lloyd Austin.
Yes.
For God's sake. She voted for a guy who took the job so seriously that
Lloyd Austin is Biden's Secretary of Defense.
Okay.
That's who he is. He's the current Secretary of Defense. Now,
Okay.
listen to what Joe has to say about that.
when he had some surgery, didn't tell the number two he was doing it, didn't tell the commander-in-chief he was doing it, but we're against Pete Hegseth? You got to make me Carl.
So Lloyd Austin last December went in for surgery for prostate cancer. Didn't tell anybody, didn't even tell the president. Nobody knew where he was for 4 days.
What?
And in the middle of all of that, we're being attacked by Iran on our military bases over in the Middle East.
Wow.
And they're having a problem with Pete Hegseth? Come on. That's just crazy.
Wow.
You're smarter than I am. You tell me this off the air all the time. I don't understand how somebody like this thinks she's on the high road, how somebody like this thinks that she could ever get away with voting against a guy like this.
Mhm.
We will primary that rear end. I mean, she doesn't deserve to be in the Senate. She said yes to that, yes to transgenders being in the military, but no to Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
And you're right. If you've got a personal past, maybe shut your mouth about what somebody else is alleging about somebody that you've got the right to confirm now.
Well, her thing is, well, he's not qualified. It's like, you just confirmed Lloyd Austin, who created ISIS. I was in Iraq when he was in charge of the withdrawal, and it created ISIS. And you're going to tell me that Pete Hegseth is not qualified? Pound sand, lady. Joe.
Exactly right. And he brought DEI, he brought CRT, and he made the military weaker, not because of the military members, because of his lack of leadership.
100%. Joe Pags, if you're not watching his show, you're doing it wrong.
Thank you, Brother Carl.
All right.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow. Okay, so bring me up to speed just a little bit. So the guy that we're talking about, Hegseth, so he would be over the DOD, right?
Yeah, the
Department of Defense. So what does that person actually, what does that person actually do?
He's in charge of the military.
So meaning, like, what
he's the head guy over all the military. He's working on everything that is military. He oversees the whole thing, all our troops, everything.
Okay, and he's a former military person, right?
Right. He let me pull up, and I hate Wikipedia, but
and I remember seeing the guy that you're saying and I will admit I didn't understand why they were making a big deal about, like, why he didn't tell anybody, not even the president. But so he went missing in action for 3 days.
Yeah, he had surgery.
And wow, and nobody knew about it?
No, he didn't tell anybody.
What was his reason?
We don't know.
Did he get reprimanded for that?
No, he never it was never reported why he didn't say anything.
And did he get reprimanded for it?
No.
And what is his background? And what is his background?
He
was he former military?
Yeah, he's in the Navy, I think. Well, let's look him up.
Oh, okay. Barbara said he's supposed to know more about the military than the president does.
Right. So this is the guy, Lloyd Austin, who's our
Okay.
current. He's a U.S. Army officer.
And he's the
He
current
was.
DOD.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's the current. Yeah, Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, DOD. Mm-hmm.
So, when did he serve? Military career. Went to West Point. He's a second lieutenant. And all he's done is weaken the military now. You know,
Because
we talked a little bit about, you know, transgenders in the military cannot go to combat. They're not combat ready because they take medication that they have to have.
oh wow.
For the rest of their lives. It's like an asthmatic going into combat. You know,
wow.
You're out in the middle of the desert and bullets are flying at you and you have an asthma attack. You're
That's
not
not
going to
good.
leave the pharmacy and get an inhaler.
Right, right. But you
Well,
know, there is some hope with this because on VCY America that I watch, I heard them say that there are groups that are actually standing up and feeling emboldened. And the only reason why they're able to is because of the current administration that we're going to be having and a president that's going to be in favor of this, that they're saying these groups are coming out saying, no, we don't want this. We don't
Yes.
want, you know, it doesn't matter if you say you feel like you are a, you know, the transgender, you still got the power of a man. Even
Right.
if you do change and it's unfair for these different sports where women are working so hard at the
Mhm.
level that they are, and then a guy comes in and says no. They're like, no, you still got the strength of a male. It is not
Right.
fair. And
Well,
so they're
yeah.
pushing back.
I noticed it too, that since the election and Trump won, especially Christians are speaking up and using their voice more because we're not alone now and it's okay. We're not going to get canceled out.
Right.
And people are seeing, especially with CNN and MSNBC and ABC News and CBS, the people aren't believing them anymore. They're BS, they're lies. You know what their stories are on. You know what Nancy Pelosi said. You know, the wrap-up smear campaign tactic.
Mhm.
They're taking something, true or not, saying it's from an anonymous source and running with it. And
Wow.
it's garbage. So Pete Hegseth, he was a major in the Army. He got a Bronze Star. He has gotten 2 Army Commendation Medals and a Combat Infantry Badge. So he's a decorated soldier. And they're treating him this way.
Wow.
And Trump's telling him to fight, continue to fight. So Trump's going to continue to back him. So this is a short video with an interview from Megyn Kelly when he was on the Kelly show.
Oh, okay.
So let me share my screen. And
my Jenny, my wife Jennifer, changed. In many ways, I found 2 things. My 2 J's. My Jenny, my wife Jennifer, changed my life, and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And without those two J's, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. But with those two J's, like my mom said this morning, and I didn't get a chance to see all of it, but God bless my mom. I'm a very different person than I was 10 years ago, than I was 15 years ago. But I'm also the right guy to be in the Pentagon to understand what our young water fighters are going through. What we send them to do, what we ask them to do, tour after tour after tour after tour. Are we equipping them properly? Are they mentally prepared? Are we helping them on the way back? How are they transitioning? Were they used properly? I can speak to that because I've lived it. Not from a general's perspective, not from an air-conditioned office in Washington, D.C., or from a think tank, from dusty boots and pulling triggers with bullets whizzing by, and you're wondering whether you're ever coming home. In many ways, I found...
Oh, wow.
Don't tell me that's not the man for the job.
Exactly.
And the thing is like I said earlier, is the left is running scared. You know, they're going to be exposed. The rhinos in the deep state is the problem. I totally agree with you, Robbie.
Yes.
Robbie E. Robbie.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Yeah. They are part of the problem. And it just, keeps going on. But there are things that we can do. I got 2 more clips
Okay.
on Pete before we move on.
Okay. And I'm going to put a question when I have a question. We can answer that later.
My sister adopted a 10-year-old from a shelter.
All right, sweet. We like dogs. They're fine. Don't worry about it. All right, so the failing CNN network, okay, they've been going after Pete Hegseth or pointing out like allegations of, oh, he was regularly intoxicated at work events. And I love this. Put this up. This coming from these guys taking shots on TV, on live air. You're going to tell me that you're upset that Pete Hegseth had a...
Kind of hypocritical, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
A couple beers and you're taking shots of whatever that is on live TV. Give me a break.
Wow.
Brianna, did her dog get you? All right.
You got me. Look, this is a double standard right now. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. Don't worry. We like dogs. Anybody who doesn't like dogs, by the way, probably this isn't the show for you to watch. So please carry on.
This is a double standard by the left. They want to talk about, all this stuff with Pete Hegseth. First, they came for his Christian faith. Then they came for his personal relationships. Now they're coming for the fact that on St. Patrick's Day, he had a drink. Oh, no. Don Lemon gets hammered. Anderson Cooper gets hammered on CNN. There's not a peep about it. We cannot let these, what Clarence Thomas called high-tech lynchings against these nominees to occur and have Republicans stand for it. Because if they take down Pete Hegseth, they're going to take down the remainder of all the nominees. Yeah. We're going to be left with rhinos.
Yeah, and if we let them have one, they'll take it. But Terry, we cannot give an inch with these people. They got their pound of flesh with Matt Gaetz. Okay, but if we give an inch, they'll take a mile.
No, that's right. They never stop. The left is never satiated. They just want more and more. I mean, look at the trans stuff, right? They went from gay marriage to mutilating children. They are never satisfied. They won't ever stop. You have to stand up to these bullies. You have to stand up to them and punch them right in their weird, crazy ideas. They're totally nuts. You have to stand up to them.
Very true. Brianna Lyman, Tara Schilling, and Brianna, your dog as well.
It's the hypocrisy of the legacy media. It's just, you can't trust them. You can't believe them. And like I said earlier, anonymous sources, if you hear that, throw it out. Don't even pay attention to it.
Wow.
So you had the question, what does the deep state mean?
Yes. I said yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what the deep state means here, and I'm going to share my screen again. So the term deep state refers to a hypothetical network of unelected government officials, bureaucrats, and influential individuals who are said to operate outside the normal chain of command and the control of elected politicians, the lobbyists, the special interest groups that have control over elected officials, basically. This concept suggests that a shadowy group exercises significant power and influence behind the scenes, often with their own agenda that may not align with the policies of the elected government. The idea of a deep state is often associated with conspiracy theories and has been discussed in various contexts, including politics and history. So basically, the deep state is the underground network of people wanting special favors. One of these shows, I need to find that clip of Luke Ball and how he explains how it works in Washington with these lobbyists and special interest groups. But there's a lot of bureaucracies. One of them, bureaucracies that is controlling is the teachers' unions. The teachers' union throws a lot of money at Democrat politicians, and that's the reason our school systems are crap, basically. And all this ugly agenda is being taught to our kids.
Okay. So I think that would be good for you to do that, or for us, with that. But so in short, like the short, I guess, answer is, let's say if I had millions of dollars and I wanted to pass an agenda of, I don't know, gosh, I don't want to, and I wanted to pass an agenda of something.
Right.
Then these elected officials, I would kind of go underhand. So it could be that these elected officials were elected by the people based on what they were wanting these people to represent them on. But then I could come along on the side because I got enough money and say, but I want you to do so. So how can you do that if they get elected? Let's just say for teacher rights. I mean,
Right.
Union. And then I had a lot of money and I came along. How can I have you change that if you got elected?
So basically,
I'm trying to understand it a little better
so basically is, LaTanya, I want to help you become a senator. So I'm going to donate X amount of dollars. And you ask me, well, what do you want?
What do you want? Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Don't worry about that right now. All I want to do is help you get elected. Once you get into office, so they donate to your campaign a lot of money, so you can advertise and campaign all over. So once you get into office, they say, okay, LaTanya, there's this bill coming up. We don't want it to pass. But you think it's a good bill, but we don't want it to pass. You need to vote no. They bought you.
Oh, no, okay. So what if the person comes back and say no? They already in office now. And as far as if you said, I love how that is a good example. And then if I say no, this is what the people
then we're
want.
going to expose this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this, where they're going to smear, they're going to do the wrap up smear campaign on you.
So basically, if I accepted your money and you said, no, I don't want anything, and I took you at your word, then once I got there, then you're like, LaTanya, so there's this bill coming up and I want you, and I say, no, I can't do that. This is what the people I'm hearing from the people want. Then that's when I'm going to find out that you were up to no good. That you were, because then you're going to,
Well, you need
because
to
I'm
research.
already there. You can't unelect me. You can just the next
Right.
time decide you don't want to give me money.
Well, you can't, but they can make your life miserable. And that's when, if you were running for office, you need to really make sure who is donating to you, that comes to talk to you and say, I'm going to donate your campaign. You need to find out who that person is and what they're tied to. It all goes back. Follow the money. Follow the money. Yeah, it all goes back to that. So going back to Pete Hegseth and fighting and all of that, well, we can do our part and fight too. So here's a clip from Dan Bongino about fighting and what we can do.
Seeking to, really drawing the line in the sand, standing firm, not backing up when the Marxists are pushing. There's a Saul Alinsky tactic right now to destroy the nominees of Donald Trump. Obviously, Pete Hegseth is the main target that they're going after right now. Watch this clip from Dan Bongino and get your comment on it.
Me outside of government is better. Because if I wanted to get inside of government right now, I would need the support of senators like Lindsey Graham and Joni Ernst. And you know what? It's not worth selling your soul over. Why do I bring those two up? Because very credible sources, unimpeachable sources, have told me that these are the two ringleaders behind sabotaging Pete Hegseth. And it's disgusting because they both share one thing in common. They've run under our brand, the Republican Party brand. Folks, Pete's being destroyed. His life, his wife, his kids, his family. They've dragged his mother into it. And they're doing it because they're applying Rule 11 of Saul Alinsky's rules, because that's who the media is. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, polarize it. Don't attack abstract corporations or bureaucracies. Identify a responsible individual. Ignore attempts to shift or spread the blame. They are focusing on Pete. Folks, it is time to draw the line. They've already taken their scalp in Matt Gaetz. If we don't draw a line in the sand and say, not today, not this guy, then folks, the swamp's already won.
We can't let the swamp win. And those two senators, Lindsey Graham, he's out of South Carolina, I think. And Ernst, I don't know where she is. Let me find out. But if you're in those areas, Joni Ernst. She's out of Iowa. If you're in either one of those states, you better get on the phone, email, send letters, go to Twitter or X, go to social media and let them know what they're doing to Pete Hegseth and all of President Trump's nominees. They better stop it or they're not going to have a job the next time they come up for election. And we the people spoke very loud on November 5th that we've had enough of this stuff. And we're not scared to speak up anymore. We're not. You're muted.
So what can we do then? What can
As you said, make a big noise. You know, we're making a big noise here on YouTube and Rumble with our group. Call them, email them, tag them in posts on Twitter. They watch it. They watch what what's going on social media.
Yeah.
And like, enough is enough. We voted President Trump back in because we are tired of America last. We are tired of the woke agenda. Have you seen lately? You know, well, last week Walmart stopped doing the DEI stuff, and there's a bunch that have followed.
That's fallen in line. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff that is happening, and all the last 4 years, well, actually, it's been happening with the cancel culture. Has been happening before Biden got into office.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you. But we're standing up and saying no more. We're standing up and saying no more, that you are not going to hurt our children. No more are you going to teach our children about sexuality.
Yes.
Excuse me. We have Santa Ana's and the air is so dry. My throat gets dry.
Oh.
But you know, we're saying no more. No more, no more, no more.
Wow.
Any more comments or questions about any of this with Pete Hegseth? And this goes on because, you know, they're right. If, you know, Carl Higby had said it, Joe Hegseth said it, Dan Bongino said it, is that if they got away with Matt Gaetz, if Pete Hegseth backs down, which I don't think he will because he's a warrior, and Trump says don't back down, but if they lose him, then they're going to come after Tulsi Gabbard. They're going to come after Kash Patel, who is just named the nominee to head the FBI. And believe me, they're terrified, which will lead into our next segment about that. And they'll come after Robert F. Kennedy Jr. They do not want him to
be. They definitely don't want him. They do not. And now that's one I will definitely fight for.
Yep.
I definitely, because, you know, but there was something that showed where there was some who needed Senate approval and some who didn't. And like
everybody that is a secretary or department head, like the FBI, all need to have Senate approval.
Okay.
Now, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy do not need approval because that's a different. It's not a cabinet position, so that has nothing to do with that.
What about the border czar?
He doesn't need it either.
Oh, so he's good to go. But but Robert F. Kennedy, he does.
He does.
And so far, do we have enough in the Senate to get him approved?
Well, we got idiot senators, rhino senators. I mean, we have the majority. If every single Republican senator would vote Trump's nominees in, and come on,
that would be like, how could I say, like, okay, I need to be careful with my words. Like, I don't want to, that would be like stomping on your foot purposely with a hammer.
Absolutely.
If they don't approve these people, because it will not be forgotten. And when the 2 years come up or whatever, you know, with voting again, before, it will not be forgotten. They need to,
and they need to know that. And they need to know that. We need to speak it loud and clear.
And I think like on our channels, we need to remind the people, look at what happened with this election when people spoke loud and clear. So these individuals that President-elect Trump is trying to put in place, if you're wanting to see a change, then you're going to need to vote these people in that he's trying, you got to trust his judgment. It's not just, he's putting people in place to help so that he can be able to make these things happen.
Yep, Robbie, I agree. John Thune is no better than Mitch McConnell. Well, Mitch McConnell was John Thune's mentor. Of course he's going to be like that. And they voted him to be the Senate Majority Leader. It's insanity.
Who is John Thune? Is he a rhino?
Yeah, he's a rhino. And Mitch McConnell was the Republican minority leader. And now that they have the majority, Mitch McConnell's retiring from that post. He's still senator. He needs to retire, period. I mean, the man is in his 80s, and a couple of press conferences, he actually froze like he was having a TIA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's not, I don't think he's well. And he just he's another career politician that became a millionaire on the backs of the United States people, the United States citizens. So he needs to go. He's one of those. But there's about 6 of them that could cause problems and not get Trump's people passed.
That would not be wise.
No, it would not be wise.
No.
We the people have spoken, and we the people are tired of it.
Yes.
And we're tired of all of the decisions that you guys make, putting America's citizens last. The most recent one, Biden goes to Angola, Africa. He falls asleep in a meeting.
Did that really happen? Did he actually?
He actually fell asleep, and then he gives them $1 billion for humanitarian needs. What about the people that are living in tents in North Carolina?
Wait, are you serious? Do we have a clip on that?
Of him falling asleep?
That and about the money that he gave.
I don't have a clip.
You got to be kidding me. That is ridiculous. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Let me see. I don't know if this is it, but I don't know if it mentions anything about the $1 billion, but we'll play it anyway.
Mr. President, what did you learn about the railway corridor? Would you like to tell us about the railway, sir?
So this was at a meeting they were.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amos Hoxie. I'm a senior advisor to President Biden. It's an honor to be here with all of you. I want to open first by saying thank you to Nelson Carino.
That's not a good clip.
Oh, that's okay.
Here we go.
Presidential. Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. Was it
I can't
that?
anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And that's not the first time he's fallen asleep somewhere.
well, yeah, that's true. Sure, he said that's me every day at work around too.
So speaking of Biden, so he did this.
Billions of dollars. What was this railroad? Why did he do that? See, this is my thing. And like President-elect Trump has said, it's not that he doesn't want to help other countries, but why not help your own?
Exactly.
If you know, I mean, if you don't help your own household first, then spread abroad. Liberty, it starts at home first, then it spreads abroad. That would be like, what can you imagine what that? I mean, billions of dollars to be thrown into, like you said, there shouldn't be not one military veteran on the street.
No.
Take care of the veterans, revamp it, get them what they need. It's a shame that after people who have served in the military and their families, some may even be they got disabled for protecting this country and they can't get the insurance, they can't get the stuff that they need. They make it so, and all of the above. That is ridiculous.
Absolutely. And you know, people are still homeless in North Carolina, Florida, well, not so much Florida, but in Georgia as well from Hurricane Helene. My link in the chat.
Yes.
Okay. My YouTube link?
Yes.
I have to get it.
I mean, wow. I want to know what is this $1 billion going to, I mean, what is that supposed to do? I mean, I don't get it.
I don't either. I don't know what it's for.
Yes.
You know, I don't know. I don't know. It's something to look into and what it was for, and maybe we can do that for next week.
Yes.
Yeah, there's my link. There. So, okay. So here's this clip. So speaking of more of Biden.
I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Okay.
Okay.
So he said he wouldn't pardon him.
We all heard it.
We all heard it. He said it. Now, I'm having computer issues.
Oh, wow. I think everybody is. Oh.
Okay, why isn't this working? There we go. Okay. Let's see if this will come up.
Expected to pardon his son Hunter Biden. The president's son was convicted on all 3 felony charges in June related to the purchase of a revolver in 2018 when prosecutors argued Hunter lied on a mandatory gun purchase form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. According to NBC News, the president made the decision this weekend. Molly, fast and furious, what do you make of this new news?
So, he pardoned him. Not only did he pardon him for what he's being prosecuted for and convicted of,
right,
but he pardoned him going back to 2014 for anything he's done for the last 10 years.
For the past 10 years?
Blanket. Even stuff he's not even been prosecuted yet for. Now,
wow. They can't come and do anything. They can't. Wow.
No. Now, let me ask you this, because the Congressional Oversight Committee has been looking into Biden's family businesses.
Oh.
They have one of the charges that Hunter Biden was charged for was for tax evasion on monies he received that he didn't report. Now, and there have been whistleblowers from the IRS that were told they were not to go after the Bidens. And they
really
come on TV and said that.
Wow.
So the Oversight Committee has found $27 million that has come from China and Ukraine into the Biden family businesses.
What? Wow.
So, he said he wouldn't pardon Hunter. And it was rumored, don't know if it's true or not, but it's kind of highly suspect. I still don't know what that movie's from that movie that's from. Somebody in the chat, maybe they can tell me. I have to look it up. But it's highly suspect.
It's a highly suspect
that they're being investigated, and it all started with the Hunter Biden laptop that was supposedly misinformation. It was Russian disinformation, which turned out to be true. Anyway, that, Hunter received money from also the Moscow mayor's wife. He got $300,000 from her for a shopping spree.
Wow.
And Hunter Biden traveled all over the world on Air Force Two when Joe Biden was vice president. Now, why? So it was rumored that over the weekend, over Thanksgiving weekend, Hunter Biden said he was going to write a tell-all book.
A tell-all book? Why?
Because he's about to lose his influence because his father will no longer be president and won't be in politics at all.
So
his income's going to go, this
way down.
Pay for play business, basically treason.
So who is he going to throw up under the bus?
His father.
What? That don't make sense.
Well, sure it does.
Well, he's
well, sure it does, because how long do you so Joe Biden will no longer be president. Joe Biden, his health is failing. We know that. We can see it before our eyes.
Well, true.
So, he's probably thinking, and I'm speculating here. I'm just speculating. I don't have facts or anything like that. This is just me and me trying to figure this out.
Okay.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just putting it out there. Is that maybe he's thinking he can make money off of this? What's happened? Are they going to prosecute an 80-something-year-old ailing man and put him in prison? Probably not. That's probably what he's thinking. The other thing too is that it's come out in the last couple of days that Biden's mulling over and blanket pardoning Tony Fauci, Dr. Fauci, Liz Cheney, and Adam Schiff. Why would you blanket pardon those three people when they haven't been indicted for anything?
Yeah.
And then again, you're going to blanket pardon them? Are you going to pardon yourself and your brother? Because you can do that.
Wow. That makes no sense.
No, it makes no sense. But there's some underlying reason why he pardoned Hunter.
Right.
And now, if he doesn't pardon the rest of his family, the oversight committee can call him, subpoena him, and call him, Hunter Biden, in to testify. And he has to tell the truth, because now that he's been pardoned for blanket pardons and everything that he's been convicted of, indicted for, and whatever else comes up, basically. Yes, and General Milley, they're talking about pardoning General Milley too. Is that when he goes and testifies, he can't plead the fifth anymore. He has to talk. He has no Fifth Amendment right protection now of incriminating himself. He's been pardoned.
He's been pardoned. So basically, when you get pardoned, when the president pardons you, even if you're guilty, you're pardoned. Even if you are found. So is it every year the president can pardon people? How does that work?
the president can pardon anybody he wants anytime.
Oh, anytime?
Anytime during his presidency. But a lot of times it happens towards the end of their presidency is when they'll pardon people. So there's
How
no
many
political,
people
as many as he wants.
Really?
And there was a post out there from President Trump on True Social. He says, okay, so now that you pardon Hunter, are you going to pardon the J6ers? Now, Liz Cheney is in hot water because it's out there and it's been proven that she's guilty of witness tampering because she told one of the witnesses, you're going to say this, you're not going to say that, during the January 6th hearings. And I think if it's me, is everybody on that panel, because that was such a joke, the January 6th committee and their investigation was a complete joke. They destroyed evidence, they destroyed documents. They all need to be prosecuted.
Wow.
Everybody on that committee. And it wasn't a fair committee anyway, because the Republicans didn't get the opportunity to choose who they wanted to be on that panel. And Nancy Pelosi wouldn't let Jim Jordan on it.
So now of having a better understanding, when Biden was saying he would not pardon Hunter, he really believed this could be one theory, that Kamala was going to be the president.
Exactly.
So for him to be that strongly to come out and say, no, I'm not going to pardon, then he, somewhere along the line, I'm sure there was a deal where he was like, you need to pardon my son.
Mm-hmm.
And he had that assurance, he had that, so he could go on record saying so strongly, I'm not going to interfere. I'm not going to. But then when he lost, it was like, oh no.
That's right. And he came out, the press secretary came out today and said, well, things changed.
Of course.
You're probably got the right theory, is that, he either, when he said it, he was expecting to be president again. But then, the whole thing with Kamala running and him stepping down, and he probably made her a deal with that.
Yeah.
And now that Trump's going to be president, he's not going to have that deal.
He won't have, right.
But we're talking about January 6th. There's a story, and the clip's quite long, but it's heartbreaking. And this is what's happening to some of these people. There are over 1,500 people that have been prosecuted for January 6th. Everyday people.
Wow.
One of them, excuse me. Oh, it's dry weather. One of them, actually, there's two local people here where I'm at. One of them's a pastor that was there that got arrested. And I think he pled guilty to a misdemeanor.
Oh, okay.
But this was last night on Flashpoint, and this story is heartbreaking. And guys, you need to get the tissues.
Really? Oh no.
Yeah. It's going to enrage you, and it's going to make you cry. And remember, it's a long clip, but it's well worth it.
Okay.
Was too silent, was the abuse of the J6 defendants and the things that have happened to them over the last 4 years. Our guest joining us now, Sarah Maccabee. Her husband has been in prison for 3.5 years now, just had his 31st birthday. I'm going to share in a few minutes what he had to say on his birthday. But Sarah, Executive Director of Stand in the Gap, already working and helping other families that have been subjected to this political persecution that's happening. Sarah, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on and giving us a platform to tell our story.
Well, your story is infuriating, to be honest, and most people have no idea how bad our justice system has become. And your husband, a law enforcement officer, has spent 3.5 years in prison now for political persecution. He did nothing wrong on January 6th, actually tried to help another police officer. And so the abuse of how this was done and the manipulation of the courtrooms and the judges and everything else has been disgusting to me as someone that loves the Constitution and loves justice. Would you share a little bit of what happened to Colton that day and what you've been doing for the last 3.5 years to help other defendants?
Absolutely. My husband, Ronald Colton Maccabee, was a law enforcement officer of 7 years on January 6th, and he did just what he was trained to do as that law enforcement officer, and that was to run when chaos was breaking out around him, to run into action. And so he did that. There was an officer that was down in distress, Metropolitan Police Officer Andrew Waite, who he was helping up off the ground as he was being assaulted by other Metropolitan Police officers, and he's communicating with them, saying that he's one of them, that he's trying to give help. He knows how to give help. And as he's trying to help this officer that's in distress, off to his left, Roseanne Boylan is being viciously beaten by Metropolitan Police Officer Lila Morris, and he's trying to save her life. Unfortunately, protesters pulled Andrew Waite down the stairs. Thus, Colton went down with him. And as he's over top of him, protecting him, as the crowd is calling Colton a traitor, and he's yelling, "No, stop, quit," the officer acknowledges that he's helping and says, "Help me up." And Colton does, and then he goes to get Roseanne Boylan and starts to give her chest compressions. This entire encounter happens in 7 minutes, from the time he steps foot into the mouth of the tunnel to the time that an officer thanks him for his help and he walks away, with 7 minutes. And the FBI came and raided our home August 17th of 2021, and he has been incarcerated ever since. He was held 26 months prior to trial without bond. They said he was a danger to the community, and you know, when you're in Washington, D.C., you're not allowed to talk about the accolades. He had won awards for helping other people, for saving other inmates' lives. And that didn't seem to matter, that the 27 years of his life, he was an upstanding citizen, a good officer, and none of that seemed to matter in front of a jury of nobody's peers. And the prosecution and the judge, they operate with impunity. So it just doesn't seem to matter. But what has been exposed through this process, I believe these individuals were chosen for such a time as this. I really do, because they have exposed such corruption. That's from right. The time that these individuals are indicted on a grand jury all the way through the conviction process, and now him being in the BOP. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this corrupt justice system.
You know, Sarah, we're going to, I think, 576 days from now, celebrate the 250th birthday of the Declaration of Independence. And a lot of people say lives, fortune, sacred honor when they talk about the Declaration, but they've never had to sacrifice any of those three. Your family obviously has had to give so much of all three of those. With your permission, I'm going to read Colton's letter from just a couple of days ago on his 31st birthday that he put out, because I think people need to know what's been sacrificed for our freedom by these J6 defendants, because it's important for everyone to let President Trump know you want these J6 defendants to be pardoned. Here's what Colton said on his birthday. Today I turned 31. A number that feels both like a milestone and a marker of time served. I find myself not in the embrace of freedom, but within the confines of this cell. Arrested at the age of 27, the years have stretched into what feels like lifetimes. Each day etched with the trials of my convictions, the weight of my beliefs, and the hope of redemption. This birthday, I hold on to faith that it will be my last spent as a political prisoner. Over these 3.5 years, my life has been a pilgrimage through darkness to find light. I've forged bonds with fellow believers and patriots, creating bonds with family and new friends where there was once solitude. Finding strength in our shared resolve, I've pushed my limits, gaining physical strength, and have shed the weight of despair, focusing instead on self-improvement and the nurturing of my faith. In this time, I've turned to my family, to mentors, to books, to scripture, to learning new trades, not just to pass the time, but to prepare for a life beyond these bars. Each lesson learned, each page turned, has been a step toward reclaiming my narrative, my identity, my future. As I reflect on this journey, my heart aches for the freedom I've yet to regain, but it also swells with anticipation. I envision the rest of my 31st year under the open sky, in a world where justice is restored, under the leadership that champions the values for which I stood. My goal is to become more than I've ever been, to be the uncommon among the common, a testament to perseverance, a voice that echoes in the silence of oppression. This birthday, I celebrate not just my existence, but my journey, a journey of heartache, growth, and an unyielding spirit. I commit to never stop, to never surrender, to be the best version of myself for God's glory, those around me, and for the nation I love. So here's to my 31st birthday, a day that marks not just another year, but a year closer to freedom, to purpose, to living out the purpose that led me here. Happy birthday to me, a moment of reflection, of hope, of an unwavering promise to rise from these ashes stronger and wiser than ever before. Colton Maccabee, the sheriff of J6. Sarah, Colton's not just an American, he's the best of us. He represents what being a great American is all about. And yet he spent the last 3.5 years in the D.C. gulag, in prison for simply standing up for his country and trying to help a fellow police officer. What are your hopes for a pardon? How does it actually work from here? And what are you hearing about the Trump administration's plans to pardon the J6 defendants?
You know, we need pardons across the board. It's no longer violent versus nonviolent. Every January 6th defendant, almost 1,600 of them, have had their constitutional rights dissolved right in front of them. And if we are a nation on founding principles, and that means regardless if they were involved with Antifa, Black Lives Matter, or they did nefarious things that day, nothing constitutes the deplorable conditions that they've lived in and how they have been treated by this justice system. Not only do we need pardons, we need full investigations into January 6th because it was a coup in our nation and it was used against American citizens. Truly, the police officers waged war on American citizens that day because they were given orders from up above. 4 individuals lost their lives on January 6th, and those families will never be made whole again. But what can happen is we can get justice for them. We can get justice for the 1,500 American citizens, and we can ensure that this never happens again because this is a stain on Americans' history.
Brad, you mentioned it earlier, you've got to have justice, and the only way to get justice is going to be these investigations. It's going to be actually going after the people that made the decisions to do things like this, and it's going to obviously be pardoning these J6 defendants of justice. So the fact that he tweeted that out, I think, is a very good sign. Watch this quick clip from Joy Reid. I mean, talk about hypocrisy over the pardon issue.
The presidential pardon was originally meant to grant the president the power to temper justice with mercy. It was not enshrined in our Constitution so that a dishonorable man could reward his criminal allies, friends, and family for their corrupt practices. I don't have a problem with Biden pardoning his son. He should have pardoned him. The crazies are coming, right? But to me, it's like pardon more.
So obviously 2 different songs, depending on where they are, no doubt about it. Sarah, now, pardons or not, there's a lot of help that needs to be given to these J6 defendants when they get out. Stand in the Gap is already preparing for that. How can people help you at Stand in the Gap?
Absolutely. You can go to our website. My website is sarahmaccabee.us. On there, it talks about not only Colton's story in more detail, but how you can help not only him, but January 6th defendants on this long journey home. Because for 3.5 years, they've been at the hands of the federal government. They've lost their homes. Some of them have lost their family, their cars, their careers. And so it's not just about when they walk out of those prison walls. And my hope is that they walk out January 20th or January 21st. It is now assisting them on this road home. And we have a road home project where we are going to help them on this journey to be whole, contributing citizens again. Because my hope is for them is that their sacrifices do not go in vain, that they are able to use this as a launching pad to ensure that even people that we disagree with, to make sure that the government cannot do this to them anymore.
You've testified in Congress. You've spoken all over the nation on this. How do people respond when you tell them the story and how egregious Colton's case is? Do people change their opinion because they've had such a one-sided narrative from the media for so long? When they find out just how bad this has been, are you seeing a change in attitudes?
Absolutely. I hear all the time about they didn't know that there were 1,500 American citizens wrapped up in it. They didn't know that still to this day, the FBI is doing pre-dawn raids on individuals' houses for misdemeanors. They don't know that there's 239 individuals sitting in federal prison. And, just the other day, somebody said, I just really didn't realize how normal Colton was until I read your story. And Colton's story is not unique, according with the 1,500 January 6th defendants. These are Americans that need us now more than ever.
The website again for Standing the Gap?
You can go to sarahmaccabee.us and there's a link on there.
sarahmaccabee.us.
Wow.
Wow. Cathy, I have to say, I'm learning so much, just like the rest of you, here on Faith and Freedom. And I did not know that many people from when that happened back then that they were arrested. And some of these people are still there. And just like she mentioned, normal people who, when they go back and try to, about the January the 6th situation, these people were truly, I'm not trying to make excuses or whatnot, about some things. I'm not saying, I know there was some vandalisms. So some people really did get out, and got adrenaline. And I'm not saying anything about that, but that part, but wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like the government has become, and thank goodness, a new set of media, because I remember when President-elect Trump used to say, fake media. Remember, he was one of the first to come out saying that. And I will admit, I didn't get him, when he
didn't
first
understand what he was talking about.
I didn't understand. He was really brass and he was just rough around the edges, like the way, just how he was. And and so going back to about what happened, I mean, I'm just thinking, period, it's broken. What is happening, it is gone way beyond.
Yeah.
And it's wow.
You can when you consider that people who were just there, like he was outside helping a police officer get off the steps. He went and helped somebody else with CPR that had been trampled and beaten, I guess. And over that officer, Colton Maccabee. When you think about that, and they tracked them by their cell phones.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how did they arrest? So, like, let's say if you and I would have went and we were one of the ones that, got into the White House, but we were not, and they opened the doors. You see footage of them letting them in. We would have been probably in prison now.
Possibly. I mean, with your phone, you have your location services on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's how they track you, by your GPS in your phone. That they can go back into the system and find out that you were there. They can track your cell phone. You talk about Big Brother, and I used to think, okay, all the video cameras and all of that, it's like, I don't care if you know where I'm at. I'm not going to do anything wrong. Well, I go to peacefully protest over an election, which is my constitutional right. And I have my phone with me, and you track me down and you prosecuting me for being there, just being there, not going inside, just being there. And I get prosecuted because I don't agree with you.
So where are these people held? Are they in the prison where violent criminals?
Yes, in Washington, D.C., which is
Or
an
are they?
arson. It's horrible.
No, I'm saying, are they in a prison where they're with like rapists, murderers, or are they in a separate part?
No, they're in
the what?
They're in general population. They're in
with
prison.
general population. They're not separated.
No.
So all
And
the
some of them are actually in solitary confinement, and they've been there for years, and they're not getting the proper care. They're not getting their medical attention. You guys can look it up. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz tried to go in there, and as Congress people, as members of Congress, to go into that prison and check on the January 6th prisoners. They were not allowed in. They're congressmen.
Who put them there? Who tracked them down and put them there?
The FBI.
So the FBI are responsible for tracking these people down, and they put them in?
Yes.
The FBI got that kind of power to do that?
Yes. Yes.
The FBI did that?
Yes. The left-wing government under Biden's administration has weaponized the FBI, the Department of Justice, against conservative citizens. That's why this election was so important to get Trump back into office.
Yeah.
To try and undo a lot of this mess. And that is why they're fighting against his choices for these departments. Because just like Pete Hegseth in the military, he's going to do away with all the DEI stuff. If you're transgender, you can't be in the military.
Good.
It's not safe for you, and it's not safe for your fellow soldier. You can't work as a team.
Wow.
You know, and it's to all this DEI crap. And we need to do a show on that.
Yes.
We need to do a show on that.
Yes.
And what's changing.
So people will have a better understanding how harmful the DEI is and what it actually means and all of that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that critical race theory, you know, Marxism, socialism, and I've been talking about that, and I'm working on it, and we will do that soon. Okay. So, but one of the things that Sarah Maccabee had said was that they were ordered, it came from above to allow them in, and you know, everything that was orchestrated on January 6th. Here is a clip which was hidden. She didn't know this was being recorded, and that was actually being recorded by her daughter. On Nancy Pelosi, her daughter, Nancy Pelosi's daughter, was actually recording her mother.
So
about January 6th.
Let me ask this really quick. Is Nancy Pelosi's daughter, are they at odds? Because wasn't there another time that she recorded something and Trump was like, your own daughter reported or something?
That's this. That's this clip.
Okay.
Yeah. It's this clip.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the the inaugural stuff should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient
No,
resources.
there's not a question of how they have, they don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
So she takes responsibility for not having the Capitol Police there. And actually, the week before the inauguration, or January 6th, President Trump offered the National Guard to her, and she said no. You're muted.
Wow.
And she said no. And in that, she takes responsibility for what happened. And she is responsible for what happened. And then they call it an insurrection. I don't know of any insurrection that had happened with people just peacefully walking through someplace and not having weapons. How is that an insurrection? They didn't have weapons if they were going to take over a country, because that's what an insurrection means. They were going to take over a country.
They were not trying to take over the country.
No.
Come on.
and the Capitol Police were waving them in.
I know, you saw, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just sad, but that's one of the things too. And I pray, and I hope, and I'm sure President Trump will do that, because he already said he was going to do that, is that what's on his desk at 12:01 after he gets he takes the oath of office at 12:01 when he's president, that he signs those pardons for
He
all.
did. Oh wow.
I hope he does. I hope he does. I hope they're preparing it and it's all there. And
right.
he did say he was going to pardon everybody.
Good.
So that's all I have.
Well, this has been, I mean, I know we like, there's so much even more we could go into about, but I hope that this was helpful, because it was for me, of learning some things and having a better understanding, especially about Pete, Hegseth.
Yeah.
Yes. And with the Biden thing is, I mean, can we not see how just, if that would have been Trump, I mean, it's just, wow.
Yeah.
The thing, I like what, I can't remember what his name was, the guy, Stephen Colbert, I think that's his name, and how he said it's not about, because he pardoned his son. What president, if you had a son and you was able to pardon, you wouldn't do it? But it was what he said along with it. That's the thing.
Right.
That he was saying, that made it just so bad. Now you're trying to make an excuse while you're backtracking, while you are, doing what you're doing, and trying to say, oh, Hunter was this and he was that and all of that. Just, he really, I guess, when Plan A didn't end up working with Kamala becoming the president, then it was like, well, who cares? Right. He did it, and then he left the country.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, but the thing is they lie no matter what. I mean, it's all lies.
Yeah.
And they just continue to lie. But I'm encouraged by how people are waking up and fighting back and saying that we don't like what's happening and we want to change it. And we have to continue to change the culture, because if we don't change the culture in 4 years, we're going to be getting an administration that is just like what we had for the last 4 years. And we don't want that.
And worse.
So, you know, it's time for us to speak up. It's time for us to write letters. millionvoices.org. They have a letter campaign. You can go there and register. It doesn't cost anything. They give you what to say and who to email and who to write letters to and where to send them if you don't know what to do.
Can we put that up on the so people can, because we still need to keep engaged. Even though the election is over, that's just one part. Throughout President-elect administration, his time of being in office, we have to stay involved.
And not only that, we got midterms coming up in 2 years, and that can shift the majority in the House and the Senate. When these people come up for a re-election. So we got to stay on it, and we got to make sure that we keep those Republican seats. Because I will tell you, here in California, we lost 2 Republican Congress seats, member seats, that flipped from Republican to Democrat. It just so happened that we flipped some Democrats to Republicans, and the others were really close. But one of the seats flipped by 100 votes.
Wow.
100 votes. That's how important your vote is.
Yeah. Well, I think with like channels like us and others getting it out there and letting people know, no, it's not like, whew, okay, we got this one, so don't have to worry until the next 4 years. No.
The next 2 years.
The next 2 years.
The 2026 election is huge and very extremely important, just as important as this last one.
Absolutely.
We can't let up. We cannot let up.
No. So every 2 years, just think every 2 years, you know, and then the next 2 years will be for the next president. Then the next 2 years will be for the House Senate. The next, you know, you have to keep it in your mind that it's every 2 years. And what I like about like our show and others is that how breaking it down to let people know how important it is. Because I was one that only thought about the president. I was like, well, as long as we got the president in, then hey, job done. And not realizing how important it is to get, you know, those seats, those House and, you know, the Senate, because you can get the right man in, but if he doesn't have the people that be who will support to get these bills through, you're stuck.
Yeah, you're right. And, you know, then you got a lame duck president. And he can't do anything.
And people who don't understand that, they will say, look, I told you he wasn't going to do anything. You know, what did he get done? What did he get passed? And it's like, he couldn't because his hands were tied. He tried.
Yeah. There's only so many executive order power he has.
I was going to say, right. Exactly. And you don't want to be a president with all you did executive orders.
You know, just like the Trump tax cuts, they expire in January. But that was done by executive order. That's why they expire. But if Congress did the tax cuts, they could be permanent.
Wow, that's a good way to put that. Okay.
So that's why it's important to have, the House and the Senate.
Right.
So, does anybody have any questions?
Well, I like what Robbie said.
Yes.
Yes. We need to continue to pray for him. Don't let guards down. He doesn't, and we need to keep the prayers going.
Amen to that.
Yes. And again, the Million Voices, how is that active now? Like, what is, when you go on there, what will happen?
Well, here, I'll share my screen. So when you go on there, they have a place where you can sign up to get newsletters and stuff. So right here, you can, this is the Million Voices. So countdown to inauguration. So this is not the time to be silent. Get actionable tools and updates in your inbox to use your voice and make meaningful difference. So they send out a newsletter. They also have something where you can even pay for it and they'll write letters on your behalf.
Oh.
I think they still have it. Maybe they don't have it anymore. But I would still sign up and get the information because it's a Christian organization.
Okay.
And it's really good. Yeah. I get texts and emails and stuff from them as well.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
Yep. So it's a good organization.
Okay.
So if there are no more questions, we're going to say good night and have a great week. We love you. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
God bless you all.
Yes. I echo the same. Thank you all. Thank you for bearing with us earlier with the time change. And it seems like tonight was wonky, technical difficulties and a lot with other things, but
we thank you all for bearing with us.
Thank you.
At all.
Yes. And Cathy, can you remind everyone about, again, with your t-shirts, how the time, just a reminder if anybody wants to.
Yeah. So if you wanted to order anything for Christmas to receive by Christmas, it's been extended to December 15th is the last day to order to receive by Christmas. Everything in my store is marked down and free shipping. So, and that will go on until Christmas. And then after Christmas, price will go back up.
Okay.
But thank you all for supporting me. I greatly appreciate it. It helps me gather all this information and be able to do this podcast for you. Yes. And all of that. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless.
God bless. Have a good night.